Now, there's no doubt about it that by far, one of the most anticipated Star Wars TV shows of 2023 is indeed the Ahsoka Tano TV series, starring actress Rosario Dawson, that's going to drag in many of the fan-favorite characters like Ezra Bridger, Grand Admiral Thrawn, as well as Sabine Wren, and a whole lot of other aspects of other Legends and Rebels characters coming into the equation as well. We'll talk about that at a later point. But on top of all of this, anyways, this is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, where we stand today is a very interesting time because we're noticing this big shift by Favreau, Filoni, Lucas. Peyton Reed, by the way, is a fantastic director that's going to be involved with a lot of the Mandoverse projects. He directed the final episode of Mando 2. And with that being said, John and Dave are really pouring their heart and soul into these upcoming Star Wars shows to really kind of propel things in a better path for the fandom. They want to make sure that everything is going to work in conjunction with the Star Wars Legends inspiration, and how they can actually mix that in with the current canon in the most accurate way possible. So that's their overall goal, that's their game plan, and that's what they're setting their eyes on. However, moving to where we are now, Favreau's been a very talkative guy recently, of course. He's been a lot more direct with the fans, with the media, talking, of course, to a lot of people, asking questions about Star Wars, and there's just a lot of things coming out of this. Now, what Favreau recently had to say about the upcoming, of course, Mandoverse, and one thing in particular about Lucasfilm that isn't so bright, we'll tap into that right now. Now, with Favreau and Filoni actively working on the newest Star Wars installments for the fans, he is also getting ready to make some major announcements in 2023 that's going to get the fans excited about the future. However, recently Favreau took part in responding to the fans about the Mandoverse and what restriction he had from Lucasfilm before he had more freedom, and how much of an impact Kathleen had on his vision. Now, Favreau went on to say the following: "Well, when I was writing Season 1 of Mando, we actually wanted to put in all the major cameos right from the beginning, such as Luke, Ahsoka, Boba, and Katan. I even wanted to find ways to throw in Grand Admiral Thrawn at the time. I had this all written into my early drafts of the script for Mando Season 1, to tell you guys the truth. But Kennedy felt it was going to sabotage the entire story by dragging in favorite Legend stories and returning legacy characters, because it was going to cause the first season to have a very higher budget." Now, I want to pause here quick of what Favreau is saying. This just goes to show you that Favreau, right from the very beginning, wanted to throw in the big-time cameos and making Thrawn the big bad right from the very beginning. Now, sure, it took him until the Ahsoka series and working with Dave Filoni to bring in Grand Admiral Thrawn, but he really wanted to do this right from the beginning, to really just kind of convince fans and show fans that The Mandalorian as a series is a foundation to create a new universe, in a sense. And he wasn't even able to make that a clear picture in the very beginning, right? Now, I still stand by my opinion. Mando Season 1 is still entertaining, regardless of there being practically no references to past characters, no appearances of past characters that we know directly, of course. And that didn't really all start until Mando Season 2, and of course Book of Boba Fett, and now Mando Season 3 is going to cut back on that a little bit, but with Mando 4, they're going to go full scale with all these major cameos again, and that's going to be a thing in 2024. Now, moving on to the next thing. Now, Favreau pointing it out that the main reason why Kennedy did not want this to happen, and why she felt it was going to sabotage the show, is because they had to increase the budget by including more characters, and by including more actors and actresses to play those characters, right? Makes sense. Now, it wasn't just that, it was also the creative aspects that Kathleen Kennedy had a lot of doubts about. This really just goes to show you that she wants nothing to do with the characters that fans enjoy, right? I mean, if you notice, this is why she's heavily involved with the Acolyte, because she herself said that this show is all about detaching from George Lucas's vision. It's all about not paying attention to his vision or style of Star Wars. And that's why I think a lot of fans, including myself, am a little reserved on the Acolyte, because it's not going to have that true Star Wars-y feel by George. It's going to be something completely different, and she confirmed this a couple of weeks ago. Now, on top of that, Favreau goes on to say, and of course she told me to put it off and do everything over at one point. So I spent a couple of months on some revisions of excluding all these great stories at the time. Kennedy didn't want anything to do with these characters, and it's something that I disagreed with. Even many creatives over at Lucasfilm, such as visual artists and others, were agreeing with her that this was not the right path or the decision. So in my early days at Lucasfilm, I was like, who am I to challenge anything? And so I had to do what I was told. It felt wrong. I will admit that. It was a little soul-crushing, but now I am bringing back all those stories into our other shows to make up for what I couldn't do at the time. So, this is exactly why you're seeing a sudden spike in all these cameos in Mando Season 2, Book of Boba, Mando 3, Mando 4, the Ahsoka show. It's all making up for what he could not do in Mando Season 1. Now hey, looking back at all of this, I don't have a problem that Mando Season 1 had no cameos. I mean, it was a nice fresh start for the series, I will agree with that. But what's so terrible about this is that this just basically confirms even more, and it's further proof that Kathleen Kennedy does not care about the true Star Wars characters that fans love and enjoy. I don't understand about this whole agenda by Kathleen Kennedy of restraining from things that fans really just are so passionate about, right? And it just seems like it's on her agenda to really restrict all of that, and to just kind of exclude anything that fans are going to rave about, that fans are going to talk about for years. And thankfully we have Favreau, who's breaking that, tight rope and really kind of giving the fans what they want to see, at home on Disney Plus and eventually on the big screen. So I think that at the end of the day, what's happening here too, and what Favreau is also saying, is that this is not just about making things up for what he could not do from the very beginning of Mando, but it's also about sending a message to the fans that he cares. He wants to show fans how passionate he is. He wants to let fans know that they are doing things right and correct. And I think that at the end of the day too, this is going to convince at least a good percentage of the people that walked away from Episode 9 to return to Star Wars if done correctly, right? It's all about execution. It's all about how it's going to be done. Music plays a role, cinematography, color correction, dialogue, all of that plays a role. So overall, guys, let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.